Okay, so today we're going to talk about the study guide. Okay, this is the study guide for our assessment. So the study guide here we're talking about is volume. Okay, so let's go over what you need to know for the test. You have to know that volume is an attribute or characteristic of solid figures. So they have to be packed completely. And I can measure volume by counting cubes using centimeters, inches, feet, or an improvised unit. This is what I have to know. Okay, so I'm going to look at this rectangular prism and determine the volume in units. And I have to justify my answer. This is really important. So I'm not going to get the answer correct on the test if I don't justify it. So I'm coming over here and I already know that length times width times height gives me the volume. Or I could find the number of the base, how many units are in the base, and I can multiply that by the height. Okay, so I have two ways to show that I know my work. All right, so I'm going to come over here, and I know with length, I'm always going the measurement that goes horizontally across the bottom. The width is usually the diagonal, and the height is the one that's straight up and down. So length, I'm going to go and count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 going across. The width is my diagonal. 1, 2, 3. And my height is the one that goes straight up and down. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm going to choose to do these first. 3 times 3 is 9 times 6. I know my 9 facts. 6 times 9 is 54. I chose not to do 6 times 3 first because 18 times 3, I don't know that fact. So I chose to do this one. Okay, and it's in cubic units. So 54 cubic units. Okay, so but I said there was two ways I could have done it. Okay, I could find all of them that are in the base. Well, the base is the same as the top. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So there's 18 in one layer. So one layer equals 18 times the height. I have 3 layers. I still don't know my 18 fact, so I'm going to say 18, 18, and 18. Right? We've talked about we can add them. That's the same as multiplying. Repeated addition. 8, 16, 24. 2, 3, 4, 5. So I got my answer two ways. Okay, did I justify my answer? Yes. There's one way to get it, or I had one layer. I justified my answer. I could justify it even more by coming over here and showing my measurements. Or I could come over here and label that I got 18. So my teacher would know where these numbers came from because it's labeled on my picture. That's how I justified my answer. All right, look at the rectangular prism below. Determine the volume in cubic units. You may use snap cubes to build the figure to assist. I'm at home and don't have snap cubes, so I can't really do that. So let's just talk about it. Okay, so again, I know two things. I know my volume formula. I'm just going to write it. I'm going to write length is horizontal, width is diagonal. So we've talked about that those measurements length isn't always this way, but that's a good way for me to look at a picture. Or I'm going to find the base, which is one layer. I'm going to multiply that by the height. Okay, the number of layers. All right, so what do I have here? I'm going to choose to do this one first because I can easily count this base. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's 12 in each layer. So that was 12. There's 12 in each layer. How many layers are there going to be? Well, that's right here, 5. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 5. Sorry, can't see that. 12 times 5. 12 times 5 is 60. I'm looking back up here. 60 cubic centimeters. Okay, over here my length is, looking for horizontal, 4. My width is 3. My height is 5. 4 times 3 is 12. Times 5 is 60. So let's see, explain 2 ways you could find the volume. 1, I use the formula. Length times width times height. Okay. 2, I found the number of cubes. I found the number of cubes in the first layer. In the first layer, I'm running out of space, and multiplied that by the number of layers. So I showed my work and I explained in words. This is a problem that would show that I got a 4 because I was able to show my math in 2 ways and I used words to explain what I did. All right, use snap cubes to build a rectangular prism with a base of 6 and a height of 5. Draw a picture using your prism. All right, I don't have snap cubes again. Okay, so build a rectangular prism with a base of 6. I'm going to choose to draw it right here, what I'm going to pretend that I built. Okay. So my base, oops, I should do it like this. My base has 6. My base has 6 cubes. Okay? And I want a height of 5. So my height is going to go up. Height of 5. Okay? If you're not very good at the drawing, just label. Label really well. It was 3 by 2. Okay, so my answer is 30. Okay, 30. So it doesn't tell me which one it is, so I'm going to say it's 30 cubic units. I know that because 6 times 5 is equal to 30. Okay? So I could say my base is 6, right? My base is 6. And there was 5 layers with 5 layers. Okay? All right, so let's move on. The volume of a rectangular prism is 32 cubic units. So I'm going to start off by writing my formula so I can kind of write down what I knew. Okay, so the volume of the rectangular prism is 32 units. I'm going to write in what I know. Justin says the base has to be 2 by 2. Okay, this is not the formula that has base, so I'm going to rewrite my next formula. I can do the base times the height. Okay, so I'm going to put 32 over here because it's right underneath the volume. Justin says the base has to be 2. So the base is 2 by 2. The base is 2 by 2. And the height has to be 8. So this is what Justin says. Daniel says, okay, let me come over to Daniel. I'm going to write my formula. Base times height. Let's see, but he still wants it to be 32. What does Daniel say? Daniel says the base has to be 4 by 4. So 4 by 4, and the height is, what's the height? And the height is 4. Okay, so let's do my math. 4 times 4 is 16 times 4. 16 times 4, I do know that fact. That's 64. But even if I didn't know that fact, I know it's way over 32. Doesn't work. Let's see what Justin says. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 8 is 32. So who do you agree with? I agree with Justin, not Daniel. So I'm going to write that. So I agree with Justin. What did Daniel do? I think Daniel thought 4 plus 4. So Daniel added 4 plus 4, not 4 times 4. Okay? So Justin's numbers work in the formula. Right? All right, let's look about this one. So what was on the test? I have to find volume as it goes to multiplication and addition. Find the volume of a rectangular prism whose side length is packed with unit cubes. Ensure the volume's the same as it would be multiplying the edge. So I have to know that I could do it multiple ways. I could pack it, or I could use multiplication. That just basically means formula. Okay, tomorrow on the test, build the understanding of volume formula. So I'm going to use the formula. Find 1-digit dimensions of 2 non-overlapping rectangles. So do I know how to do this? All right, so I have to split my paper into 2 parts. Volume equals length times width times height. Volume equals length times width times height. So I'm going to choose to split right here. Okay, so here's one of them, and here's my second one. So here are my 2 parts. Okay, remember you can use colored pencils, you can use something to divide your 2 parts. All right, I'm going to do my pencil one over here, and my red one over here. Oops, you can't see it. Red one over here. All right, so I have each one. All right, so over here, my pencil, where's my length? I don't see it, and I don't see it. I do know that this whole thing is 80, and I do know that this part's 60. So what is 80 minus 60? 80 minus 60 is 20. So I know that this side is 20, and this side is 60. 20 and 60. So I'm going to say 20, and I'm going to say 60 for width. Okay, I don't see any diagonal. Width is diagonal, right? Width is diagonal. I don't see any, so I have to track my brain all the way around. Oh, I see it here, 10. So, but I know my width is the same for everything. So I'm going to write 10 here, and I'm going to write 10 here. Okay, my height. Oh, that one was easy. It's already labeled for me. I love it. 60. This one is not labeled for me, but I see a height of 60, and I see a height of 40. So if this is 60 and this is 40, 60 minus 40 is 20. So this one must be a 20. All right, these have 10s, but that's okay. I can multiply the, excuse my dog. 2 times 10 is 200 times 60. 2 times 6 is 12. 1, 2, 3 zeros. 1, 2, 3 zeros. Okay, let's come over here. 6 times 10 is 600 times 20. 6 times 2 is 12. 1, 2, 3 zeros. That's interesting. They're the same exact measurements. So let's go ahead and add them. So I have to add my 2 parts together, remember? So 12 plus 12 is 24. 1, 2, 3. But I have to go back and look. It's millimeters. And I have to say it's cubed. So I'm going to explain how I knew. So I split the rectangular prism into 2, right? I used the formula. I used the formula's length times width times height. Excuse me. So I use the formula's length times width times height. So I knew the length was 80. The whole length was 80. The prism on the right had a length of 60. So 80 minus 60 was 20. Okay? So the width, sorry, I'm having a hard time putting it in the page. In the camera, the width was 10 for both. Okay, so the total height was 60, and the left height was 40. 60 minus 40 was 20. I multiplied using the formula. So I explained how I got each part. All right, so let's go on to the next one. What's the volume? So I'm going to put this in 2 different parts. All right, so I need to have my 2 formulas. Length times width times height. Length times width times height. And I'm going to show my 2 different methods. Or I'm going to write my dimensions down. There's this one over here, and this one goes here. All right, so my length is 2, width is diagonal, 1, 2, 3, 4. My height is 2. Over here, my length is 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Height is 1, 2, 3. So I have 2 times 2 times 4, 2 times 2 times 4. And over here, I have 2 times 4 times 3, 2 times 4 times 3. 2 times 4 is 8. 8 times 3 is 24. 2 times 2 is 4. Times 4 is 16. 16 plus 24, let's add. 4 plus 6 is 10. 2, 3, 4 is 40. 40 cubic units. Okay, I got a problem that's squished in here. Find the volume of prism that has a base of 8 and is 2 inches tall. So I'm using the formula base times height. 8 times 2 is 16. And there's square, base of height, base times height. The base was 8, the height was 2. So inches squared. All right, last page. Got 2 more. So the teacher's desk in your classroom is 2 feet by 5 feet by 3 feet. How much space is in the desk? Oh, this is straightforward. Okay, so let's explain with words. I used my formula. I used the formula length times width times height. The length is 5. The width, is 2. And the height is 3. So 5 times 2 is 10. And 10 times 3 is 30. So I had 5 times 2 times 3. So my total volume is 30 feet cubed. I kind of think on the last problem I did squared. I just realized that. This should be cubed. You might have already found my mistake. All right, last one. Halima built a rectangular prism that has a base of 9 square cubes. Okay, so I am going to use my base times height, right? To explain how you got it. So I used the formula base times height. The base is 9, so 9 times 4 layers is 36, and they were square cubes. So I'm going to say 36 square cubes. See if you know how to use the formula. Do you understand that you can use multiplication, or I could have done repeated addition because I'm going to add my layers together? Okay? Either way, you're showing that. Be sure to ask any questions, clarify anything that you have before you take that assessment.